I think for the last two Sundays, I haven't really done a video. Took a little break. But my God, there's plenty to talk about. I go back to work on Monday, Monday through Friday. I'll delete that. Didn't get to that one. Delete that one. Delete that one. Yeah, there's plenty of new stuff to talk about. That's now old. Let me just continue on with the new stuff. Venezuela, and what 1 ounce of silver can buy you in Venezuela. Be prepared to be shocked. I told you this would happen. I used examples. I showed you charts. I showed you all kinds of stuff saying, could you imagine if the Venezuelan people purchased silver even several years ago, many, many, many years ago, or as early as 2 years ago? Because this little problem they've had is going on for about a year now, but it's been getting really bad lately. So before I get into that, I want to tell you I finally was able to get to watch with the wife the documentary Vaxxed, Vaxxed. She says, "Oh, we can actually watch it right now for $3 or $3.95 or something, high quality, right from our computer or whatever." I said, "Well, we got the Android box. Why don't we just open a browser on that thing and do it there?" All right. So we just watched the whole movie, documentary, hour and a half long. Now, you'll recall last year, the whistleblower came out from the CDC. We absolutely destroyed that evidence that proved autism is coming from these vaccines. So, again, got to watch it. I'm just going to say, for anybody out there that's been thinking about it, hasn't had a chance to watch it, oh yeah, I was going to, but I forgot about it, whatever your story is. This was a very, very well made, factual, with amazing proof documentary that every parent, every doctor, every medical specialist in the freaking world should watch. It's not going to be mind-blowing. Not if you're a subscriber of mine, because you and I think of a lot alike, I'm sure, obviously. So it's not going to be too shocking to you. But to see it laid out in the proof and the evidence and the fraud and the corruption coming out, and absolutely amazing. And I'm proud to say there's a congressman in Florida, Bill Posey, who was pushing, begging the House, Mr. Speaker, House Representatives, please, let's pull this guy in from the CDC under oath and let him say, give his testimony. I'm urging you to get a committee together as soon as possible. It's now been 8 or 9 months. Not even a peep. Not even a peep about getting a committee together for this. The amount of kids, I think currently now, that are going to be born, get these shots, and have autism, what used to be on average 1 in 10,000, and before 1930s it was like 0. No one had it. But then we started doing the shots and all that stuff, right? But for a while, it's only been about 1 in 10,000 kids gets autism from these shots. Or just gets autism, period, I should say. And as the documentary ends, I think it said 1 out of 50 are going to be born. In the argument, they're saying, I'm the mother or I'm the father. We have to live with this child the rest of their lives. The way they are, they can't take care of themselves. What happens when we die? And the congressman was saying it also. I don't know if it was the same one, Mr. Posey, or another one. They said, guys, who's going to take care of all these kids? My, secretary here, how much it's going to cost over $1 trillion just looking out in the future to take care of these. The taxpayer is going to have to take care of these people when their parents die and they can't take care of them because they can't take care of themselves. So I'm thinking this, and in the testimony and this stuff, this is years and years and years. This is like 2002, 2003, 2004. some of this testimony and some of these hearings. So I'm sitting there watching this, and I'm thinking, oh my God, and now you're telling me it's 1 out of 50? Do the math. And here we are talking about Social Security? Oh my God. Now on to the video. Again, and if you went on the website, you can watch it. I think it's Vaxxed. Just type in Vaxxed into Google, VAXXED. It's the first one at the very top. And funny enough, the first main result is the Washington Post about how wrong the documentary was, and things they didn't talk about, and it's a statistical fact that they do not cause autism unequivocally. And there was a lot of comments down there. I started reading through them. The people saw right through it and bashed the Washington Post. Anyways, first, before I read, this is from Zero Hedge, very recently. Big events coming. This is from the SRS Rocco report. Big events coming, and 1 ounce silver buys 6 months of food in Venezuela. Is that unbelievable? I didn't say gold. I did not say gold, which is $1,300 something. I said silver. And I also said 1 ounce. And in US dollar terms, it's approximately $20. Could you buy anything in America for $20 that will last you 6 months that you could eat or drink? Not only no, but hell no. But I want to start off with letting you know how bad, hungry, let's just call it, how far will a hungry person go to get food? And in this case, in Venezuela, because they're starving to death. I already told you and read you the reports, showed you the articles. The mayor of whatever town it was, at Caracas or whatever, the people are eating pets in the streets. This is insane. Stray dogs, animals, cats, birds, they're eating them. Well, it just got taken to another level. This is from a whole different website, fusion.net. Hungry Venezuelans break into zoo and butcher an animal for meat. Venezuela's worsening food shortages had strategic consequences for a rare show horse last Wednesday when a group of intruders broke into the zoo, pulled the black stallion from its cage, and then slaughtered it for meat. Prosecutors say the crime, hold on. The crime. We're starving to death. We've begged the government to help. We're willing to work. We'll do anything for food. Forget pay. We just want to eat. So we killed a horse. You're a criminal. Prosecutors say the crime, it's laughable actually, because the crime occurred in the small hours of Sunday morning. This is about a week ago at Caracas Caricueo Zoo, when several people sneaked into the state-run park under the cover of darkness and busted into the stallion's pen. The horse, the only one of its kind in the zoo, was then led to a more secluded area and butchered on the spot. Only its head and ribs were left behind in a gruesome pile for zookeepers to find after sunrise. I wonder if there's a little thank you note by chance. Probably not. Sadly, this horse wasn't the first zoo animal to suffer the effects of Venezuela's crippling food shortages. Some Vietnamese pigs and sheep, just sheep, were reportedly stolen from the same zoo earlier this month. And I think we know what happened with them. Meanwhile, larger animals are reportedly showing signs of emaciation as the zoo runs out of feed. Recently, 2 tapirs, I thought they were pronounced tapirs, but whatever, died of malnourishment. And zookeepers have resorted to feeding hippos, elephants, and goats an unusual diet of locally grown mangoes and squash while they wait for food supplies to arrive. Quote, "The situation that our zoo is going through is very sad," said Marlene Cifuentes, a union leader at Imparques, the government agency that runs the zoo. "We have animals that have not eaten for up to 15 days, which affects their health," she told Reuters in an interview. And I'm sure the citizens of Venezuela are saying, "You care about the damn animal that's got 15 days without food? Woman, do you know how long I've been without food?" They're going to flip out. They're going to flip out. They are flipping out. What does Gerald Celente always say? When people have nothing else left to lose, they lose it. You might consider the people who broke into the zoo and stole the only black stallion special horse they ever had. Was it one of those Arabian night horses? Slaughtered the thing to eat it. And is it not amazing that this crazy time traveler story, John Teeter, somebody asked him back in 2000 when he gave the story about where the world was going, who seems to be on point, but you talk about bicycles and all that, and no one's really driving around cars and stuff. What about horses? How come people aren't running around on horses? He says, well, horses have to eat and drink, and also a bicycle. People, I forgot his term, but he said people aren't going to eat a bicycle as opposed to a horse. Bingo. Venezuelans devour a horse from a zoo because they're starving to death. You would think this is a fake story. You would think this is a fake story. She says that at the very least, the zoo needs more security to prevent more animals from getting turned into steaks. They don't even have flashlights, she told a local news site. When workers hear something at night, they head into the dark at their own risk. Yeah, so let's hire more security. And then you'll find them telling you, yeah, I know we have more security. We heard some noise last night. We went to investigate. And old Bucky over there, the hippo, Bucky died. Someone got to him. There's his remains. You didn't see anybody? No, they got it to him fast. Actually, it was the security personnel. Because remember how so many people were starving that a sergeant or lieutenant or someone in the army was trying to take some food from wherever it was being, they haven't eaten there either. And they're like, okay, well, we work for the government. We're starving. We need some food. We're not getting food, so I'm going to take some of this food over here that we're not supposed to take. And I took it anyways and ate it. Got in big trouble. So you're going to hire more security who are starved to death and put them in front of some huge stakes, so to speak. Right. Not going to happen anyways. So the other story, 1 ounce of silver buys 6 months of food in Venezuela and big events coming. Let's see what SRS Rocco report has to say about this. Actually, it's a link. I'm going to have to... I'll post the link in the description box. But he says, during the Precious Metals webinar, Tom Cloud discussed how 1 ounce of silver will now buy 6 months of food in Venezuela. This is a perfect example how precious metals become the best stores of wealth during a currency collapse and hyperinflation. Precious metals expert Tom Cloud also shared 3 big upcoming events in the precious metals market and their impact on gold and silver. Tom discusses how he has seen more financial advisors buying precious metals for their clients in the last 6 months than he has seen in his 40 years of experience. He explains why many more financial advisors are now realizing the importance of precious metals ownership for their clients. So I will send you this link for Zero Hedge to read that one. Man, I just gotta say, I've been doing these videos since 2009. And I used to use it just to upload to Facebook because Facebook wouldn't allow you would only allow you a small amount of time at first to upload videos directly to them. And some of my videos were, as you know, a little bit longer than normal. And even back then, they weren't that long at all, to tell you the truth. But it was very, very short that Facebook would allow you. And I would just use YouTube for that. But then towards the end of 2009, I started realizing, man, people are subscribing. I'm getting zero feedback on Facebook. So shut down my account on Facebook. I'm out. 2010 rolled around, shut that bastard down, and never looked back since. So anyways, 2005-ish, 6, we start waking up slightly, barely, my wife and I. Documentary here, documentary there. I didn't know that. That's interesting. I was lied to about that. What else have I been lied to? 9/11. Oh my gosh, And then it just went down that rabbit hole and I never got out. And that's why I'm here today doing these videos to tell you that everything you're told is a freaking lie. Again, go watch the documentary Vaxxed for the next latest and greatest thing to show you the fraud and corruption. It's everywhere. You have to take your life in your own hands everywhere. You go to the doctor. We follow the CDC recommended guidelines. That's scary. Have you seen the documentary Vaxxed? He actually shows 2 doctors the data, the proof that the one CDC guy gave them, the whistleblower. He said, I'm just going to give you some time to read that, and then I'd like to talk to you afterwards. He talked to both of them. They were blown away. I can't believe this. This means for the last 10 years I've been lying to my patients because I've been lied to by the CDC. What they tell me is what I tell them. What are you going to do if your next patient comes in and asks you about the MMR vaccine? Are you going to give it to them? She says, I'm not going to give it to my kids. And I'll just tell them, I don't recommend that. Get the single shots. Anyways, we've been preparing for the fall of society for a number of years. And when you first start to see these things and you uncover them, and you realize, oh my God, I didn't know that, and there's a new one, and oh my God, you tend to think, okay, it's coming quick, like it's going to be here soon. But even though it does seem like rapid fire right now, 2008 came and went, 2009, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, we're in 2016 now, almost halfway, we are halfway through the year. It's absolutely coming. I mean, there's no question. But I look back at all this time that's gone by, all this research that I've done, all these 2,000 something YouTube videos, for God's sakes. Watch the vaccine thing tonight. I see all this stuff, gold and silver, Venezuela, food, And I sit here and saying, damn, you got it right. You had no business, no qualifications to get something like this right. For lack of a better term, you were a sheep bozo that read something else, watched something else, researched, And now I'm seeing everything for what it is. And it's coming quick. It's coming a lot faster now. You have to take everything in your own hands. I said this before. You will only have one shot at this. And this is it. If you don't have your precious metals, you better do anything you can do to get them. But the jobless numbers just came out today, and they were great, Jay Snip, on Friday. They were fantastic. Silver smashed, gold smashed. Markets rally. I know. And I said this would happen. Lindsey Williams said it would happen. We knew this would happen. They're going to pump it up until they can't pump it up anymore. They're going to pull every last sucker back into the markets, what he said. And when all this goes to hell, that is when you better have your precious metals on hand. That is when you better have them. Not afterwards, not during. You better have them beforehand. Like a thief in the night, something's going to happen, and then boom, oh my gosh, I need to go get them. Oh God, I can't. Or I can, but holy crap, I can't believe what the price is today. This is absurd. What the hell's happened? Are these numbers real? Is there a glitch? What am I seeing here? This is crazy. And it would not be a bad idea to have a nice food storage, long-term food storage, just in case. And as I said, also, water filter. Not a water filter, a reverse osmosis 4 or 5 stage filter system. I got one for maybe $200 or less, if I recall. It might have been 180 or something. I don't even remember. When we moved into this house that we're renting, I said, yes, I will have a water softener, water system here. It's going to be reverse osmosis, and I want it to be a 5-stage filter because that 5th filter actually puts some minerals back in the water for you. You can't trust anything. As I said the other day, state of Florida to reanalyze what pollutants can go back in from, chemical manufacturers in the lakes, rivers, waterways. Currently, it's like 24, and we want to put 54 in there. But we're going to take 2 that were previously allowed out of the mix, and they were carcinogens of some level, but we're going to take those out. Okay, and what about the 25 other new ones you're going to put in? Just look at Rio, the Olympics. The water's disgusting. They tested it. It's worse than terrible. She says, don't put your head under the water. It's bad. It's real bad. And I'm just going to say one last thing. I found it interesting. CNBC is going to be covering the Olympics live, minus an hour. What? We're going to be covering it live, but there's going to be an hour delay. My buddy Frankie texted me earlier. You think that's kind of odd? They're saying they're going to do it live, but it's going to be an hour delay. I said, yeah, that's so that when some event happens, like a terror event, they have an hour to edit the video to make sure we don't see the things that we see that blows the cover of the nonsense that they do. They'll be able to edit perfectly what they want to show us and then present it as, oh, this just happened. Why? I'm just saying that just to be whatever. But on a serious note, why would there be an hour delay? Live is live. We want to watch the Olympics, man. Come on. Why do you got to have an hour delay? What's that for? It's CNBC, of course. Anyways, I just want to share that with you. I'm going to put this link in there. Take care.